Hey everybody, welcome back. James here again with you. And the two past recent videos I've done, this is going to be basically a morph video of those two videos because I got some extra information and extra testing that I added in and figured out some, I think, really good information for, air gun enthusiasts and shooters, that whether you're shooting a coiled spring or nitro piston break barrel air rifle. So what makes this video different than the last two is that, like I said, it's morphed into this video, is because I took the nitrogen piston, or the gas ram system, out of this Crosman Fury and replaced it with an actual coil spring. I had some extra parts laying around from a while ago when I had the Crosman Phantom. It's out of commission, but I still have spare parts, so it's just all the rifles pretty much from China are the same, unless there's something majorly different. And that's why I mentioned in the past videos that this Gammo is not the same. This Gammo Swarm Fox is not the same as the older Gammos, because all the trigger mechanisms and pretty much all the internals, on the lesser expensive guns are interchangeable because they're made from China, and then Gammo puts their barrel on it. But that's not really the point of this video. The point of this video, if you guys seen the last two, again, I shot 3 different pellets, JSB 1435, H&N 1466 pellets, and 14.3 Crosman hollow points into a water jug and captured them just to study the skirt. Well, as you know, if you haven't seen the videos, the actual skirts shot out of the Swarm got blown out more than with the gas ram out of this Crosman Fury. Now, with that said, I did the testing again. I shot in the water bucket with the three same pellets with the coil spring, and I captured a slow motion clip, just like I did again in the two previous videos, of showing the barrel, showing the vibrations of the piston bottoming out in slow motion as the pellet is leaving the barrel, to show the timing as to where, if the piston is beating the pellet out of the barrel or the pellet is beating the piston from bottoming out. So I got some good clips in this video, I think, and I think a lot of you are going to enjoy it, because same gun, same barrel, the only difference is the power plant. And again, like I mentioned before, and I noticed a lot of you guys commented too, that these gas rams are somewhat pellet picky. And I found out, at least I think I found out what the reasoning behind that is in this video. And I'm going to share that with you. So, before I do that though, I'm going to go ahead and show you the comparison of the coil spring and then the gas ram in slow motion. Well, you could see there that the coil spring was like right there. The pellet leaving the barrel and the coil spring, it was like right there. The timing was almost perfect. Whereas the nitrogen piston here, the gas ram itself, slammed into the gun before the pellet even left the barrel. So again, this is coming down to why the pellet it depends on the pellet, causing enough bearing surface to slow this down. And this, you can't even, it's solid as a rock. This nitrogen piston, it's tough. The coil spring, on the other hand, it's flimsy, and that's what you get that doing and all that stuff from. But I'd rather have the coil spring personally, because it's easier. It takes more. It has, again, more timing between the piston, more hang time than this. This is just, if it's back here, as soon as you pull that trigger, it's done. Whereas the coil spring, you pull the trigger and it just, you know, it's got a whip. It's got to send the vibrations through the coils, and that's where you get that vibration. It's because of the timing. It's not like this guy right here. So now, I'm going to show you these pellets. So shooting in a bucket really isn't that important, but what I think is important here is the actual gas ram itself, what effects it had on the pellet in the barrel versus the coil spring. So I'll adjust the camera here in a second. Excuse me. I found something very interesting in comparing it to the Gamo Swarm Fox. There we go. All right. So as mentioned previously, to get, you know, these brake barrels to shoot really good, you need enough bearing surface of the skirt to cause that timing between the piston, whether it's a coil spring or a nitrogen gas ram. You need that timing to beat the pellet, or beat the piston out of the barrel. The pellet needs to be pretty much right at the muzzle or already out of the barrel when it bottoms out, right? So let me show you this here. So this over here is the nitrogen piston, and it did not blow these pellets hardly out at all. It was just like it just pushed it right through. And again, I figured this out as to why it's doing that. And these three are the coil spring. Now, comparing the same pellet, check this out. So, where's it at here? That's not it. So here's the JSB's 1435s. And here's a huge difference, guys. So here's the nitrogen piston, and I'll get close-ups because I know you probably can't really see the big differences, but looking at them, you know, with your eye, you could tell. So with the nitrogen piston, you could tell there's hardly any blowout of the skirt. You can see the marking, the rifling, and all that on it. So here's the coil spring, whole nother animal. Look how much that skirt got blown out. And I know it's not like extravagant, but it's a big difference if you're just looking at it. That is huge. Big difference there. So, with that said, I have shot, you know, coil springs, I've shot nitrogen piston gas ram guns, and I can say this, and I've noticed this. Out of the Gamo Swarm Fox that I have, the barrel, or bore diameter I should say, is tighter than the actual Crossman. And what I mean by that is the actual hole, you know, the pellets going down the barrel, the actual hole itself through the barrel is smaller. I think it measured, last time I measured it, it's 4.45 millimeters since it's 22 cal. They have to be smaller than your caliber. So if you're shooting 22 cal, which is 5.5 millimeters, your bore needs to be smaller than that because it creates a good seal. Well, you're not going to believe this, and many of you noticed this before, or you probably heard me talk about this before, but on this Crossman, this barrel is overbored. one of the big, popular videos on STKO is me showing you guys tips about, or secrets about air guns that nobody talks about. And there's a reason why this gun doesn't shoot as good as others, and it's really pellet picky, because of the bore diameter. If the bore diameter is bigger than the pellet, there's never going to be the air's just going to blow right by it. And I've seen it right here. And with that said, it is very pellet picky. No matter what it is, whether it's coil spring or gas ram, as you just see me, I swapped them out just to test that theory. So what that means is you need to find, or I should say, a rule of thumb for me now is to find an air rifle that has a choked barrel or a tighter bore than the Crossman, because you're wasting pellets if they're never sealing correctly, and you're not going to be consistent downrange. Now, don't get me wrong, I pulled off some amazing shots with it, but it's because I had to spend the time and figure it out, or buy special pellets, I should say. So, like shooting a golf ball at 100 yards, I think I shot it with a H&M Field Target Trophy with the head size of 5.55, which is insane. That's way overbore. You shouldn't have to do that with the modern air rifles like the Swarm Fox. That's why this gun is so accurate, no matter really what pellet it is, even though I haven't tested a bunch of pellets through it. This gun rocks because, it creates enough. That's the thing with the smaller, tighter bore. You're creating more friction between the piston and the pellet itself. So the piston is not beating the pellet out of the barrel. Unless you're shooting a lighter pellet or something like that, something that doesn't create a lot of bearing surface in the bore itself. But you have to think of that. So this Gimmo Swarm Fox has a longer barrel because it has 16-inch barrel. This Crossman Fury has a 15-inch barrel. This Crossman Fury has like a 5.51 millimeter bore size, and that's not the actual groove or bore, I should say, sorry. The bore size 5.51 millimeter. So that's all the way down to 15 inches. Whereas this Gimmo is a 16-inch barrel and has a 5.4, I think it's 5.45 or 5.48, but it's smaller or less, all the way down. So you got to think that amount of bearing surface all the way down that barrel is creating that timing from where that piston is, bottoming out and hitting the gun, and that's what's causing you to be off your target. So I just thought this was very interesting, and I thought I had to share this because, the more you get into stuff like me, the more I test all these theories out. Knowledge is power, for one. And number two, you see why stuff is working instead of just saying, oh, this one's better, that's better. It's not because of who made it, why it's made that, that's what you need to find out, is why it's made that way and why it's shooting that good, or whatever you want to find out. It doesn't really matter, but the point is, it's a deeper process to me to figure out why something's doing what it's doing, instead of just saying it's because of this. I'd rather figure it out, and that way I know in the future. So if I want to go out and buy another air rifle, I could tell why it doesn't shoot good. There's some, don't get me wrong, good break barrels out there that are budget friendly. If I want to go buy one right now, I would be aware of what to expect because I've been studying what I know. So anyways, guys, I hope this video helped. I know it's not too short, but just a lot of valuable information, I think, that a lot of you, would enjoy, and seeing the difference. Swapping a coil spring out for nitrogen, usually people do the other way, which I might. With the Gimmo Swarm Fox, I might actually get a piston put in it, but just to test this theory, see what the big difference is. And like I said, it came down to the barrel, but it is what it is, guys, and I appreciate you watching as always. I hope you get something from this video. We'll see you on the next one.